Hello everyone and welcome to I'm Alright. My name is Lisa Robertson and this is a YouTube channel that's designed to help new and aspiring writers get the skill set and the mindset they need in order to take their writing to the next level. We're right in the middle of a series this week where we're talking about the 7 steps of revision, how you can take that through these unique 7 steps that are going to help you take your novel from draft to done. Okay, so let's get right into today's lesson or tip, step, whatever you want to call it, which is that you have to be ruthless at least 2 times. I think the best way to illustrate this is just to kind of give you an example from my own process of editing my novel, The Collector, because I think it really illustrates and gives you kind of like a tangible way to see how what I'm talking about actually manifests itself through edits, okay? So when I finished the first draft of my novel, The Collector, it was roughly 93,000 words, something like that. And that's okay. In my genre, you don't want to be anything more than 95, but really you want to be closer to 90. It's just so you can kind of beef up anything that needs to be beefed up. And because I was in such a rush to get it out, which is a step we'll talk about also this week, I had sent it out before it was really ready, and I got some feedback from agents as well as my critique partners. And so I knew that I had all these rewrites to do and that I was going to have to add a bunch of content. Specifically, feedback from several people had told me that there were 2 characters whose storylines and plot lines I really needed to beef up and expand. I was also told that the resolution, how my characters solved the crime, was a little too convenient and easy. And I also was told that I needed to add a little bit in the beginning of the book to kind of better establish the character. These were all things, you know, in addition to some of the other feedback that I thought, these were kind of the main things that I knew I was going to have to do to really improve the novel. Things I was glad to do because I thought all of them were good ideas. But of course, all of them add word count to a novel that was already a little over where I wanted it to be. And so, of course, you know, panic sets in. You want to be at 90, you're already at 93, and I was looking at this going, this is like 10,000 words I'm going to have to add here by the time I get all of this done. Where am I going to cut this? And it required that I really got brutal and ruthless with content in my novel. And I'll tell you, I have 0 regrets because all the cuts I made improved the novel significantly, okay? I cut out entire chapters. I went through, first thing I did, I went through and I cut out all my crutch words, which is something that we've talked about here in another video, which are words like just and very, really, so, those kind of things. Words that you use just kind of out of laziness, and you can go out and you'd be surprised at how many of those exist in your novel. So I went through and cut probably 90% of those out, right? Which was great, but it certainly wasn't getting me anywhere near the bandwidth that I needed, okay? The word count that I needed to play with. So I had to go through and I chucked a subplot completely because I knew I was kind of adding 2. I took a flashback that in my mind, it's one of the favorite things I've ever written. And I loved it, but it did not serve any real purpose in the novel. I just had kept it in because I liked it. So because this is a series and because these are recurring characters, I kept it. Maybe somewhere in the series I'll be able to work it in again. But the point is, I took just my love of the writing out of it in order to embrace a bigger love of the overall story, which was better suited to not having it in. I also cut out a lot of description. I was fortunate in that my novel is set primarily in Las Vegas, which I think most people have a pretty good idea of what Las Vegas is and how it looks and kind of the sights and sounds and smells and all that of Vegas. So while there is some of that in there, a lot of it went out. A lot of dialogue that just went towards establishing characters, or was that just that witty banter because I really love to write dialogue? Took a lot of that out. I took out entire chapters. I just went through, just really took myself and my ego out of it and said, what can I take out of this novel in order to make room for what I need to put in? And by doing that, I'll tell you, I think it's kind of to me, it was kind of amazing. You know, I was sitting at 93,000 words and I probably added 9 or 10,000 to it. But when all was said and done, my novel, when it was finished, ended up at about 87.5. So I cut that much content, just that was flotsam and jetsam, you know, stuff that didn't need to be in there or stuff that could have been in there but didn't serve any real purpose. And I was discerning too. There were a couple scenes or chapters that I could have lost that I just convinced myself I didn't have to, because not every sentence or paragraph has to lead to has to advance the plot. There can be just some writing for the sake of writing in there. So that's what I did. I really looked at it from a neutral mindset and from a critical mindset, and I cut and I cut and I cut, and then I went through and cut again. So I want you to do that from the very beginning. I don't want you to have to go through 4 or 5 rounds of this like I did. Do it twice, just be ruthless. Highlight things that you know can go away and see how much better your novel can get. I guarantee you, when you're done with your first draft, you're going to realize there are things that you need more of and things that you could do with less of, okay? So take that critical mindset to it and start cutting. You'll be amazed at how much better and leaner and more powerful your novel will get. That's all I have for you today. I'll see you tomorrow with another tip on our 7 Steps of Revision series. Thanks, night.